Today I'm going to be reading Miss Child Has Gone Wild. I hope you enjoy it. Let me begin. Chapter 1, We Win. My name is AJ and I hate school. I don't know why school was even invented. Whoever thought up that idea was mean. Reading, writing, and math are way overrated. You can learn all you need to know just by watching TV. I'm talking about important stuff like which breakfast cereal is crunchy and which video games let you shoot more bad guys. Here's a picture. I'll give you a minute to look at it. Okay. If I was the president, the first thing I'd do is to close all the schools and turn it into skate parks. That would be cool. So how's it going? Enjoying the book so far? Can we get you a drink while you're reading, or a pillow maybe? My teacher, Mr. Granite, who is from another planet. My teacher is Mr. Granite, who is from another planet. He was about to start our math lesson when an announcement came over the loudspeaker. It was our principal, Mr. Klutz, who has no hair at all. The winner of the cleanest classroom in the school goes to Mr. Granite's third graders. Yay! Everybody in our class shouted. What do we win? I asked Mr. Granite. You win the classroom that's clean, he said. For the rest of you, Mr. Klutz announced, please be careful not to leave any food around your classroom. It attracts bugs and mice. We want to teach students that elementary school are not bugs and mice. I hate mice, said Mr. Granite. Why would anyone leave food around a classroom? Asked this annoying girl named Andrea Young with curly brown hair. That's disgusting, said Emily, this crybaby girl who always agrees with everything Andrea says. Maybe they want to feed the bugs and mice, said my friend Ryan. Okay, it's time for math, said Mr. Granite. Turn to page 23 in your... Mr. Granite didn't get the chance to finish his sentence because at that very moment the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened. A girl came into the class. Well, that's not the weird part because girls come into the class all the time. The weird part was that she skateboarded into the class. The girl was wearing a backward baseball cap and a black t-shirt that said Led Zeppelin on it. Yo, she says. She hopped off her skateboard. They told me I was supposed to be in Mr. Granite's class. Are you Mr. Granite? Yes, said Mr. Granite. Mr. Granite replied, who are you? My name is AJ, said the girl, and I hate school. What? Chapter 2, The New Girl. Everybody turned and looked at me when the girl named AJ skateboarded into the class. Hey, the new girl is cool, whispered my friend Michael, who sits behind me. What does AJ stand for? Asked Mr. Granite. He was looking through his attendance list. Alexia Joras, the girl said. My family just moved here from Puerto Rico last week. Ooh, said Ryan. The new girl has the same initials as AJ. They must be in love. When are you and the new girl gonna get married? Asked Michael. I felt my face getting hot. I looked around the class and spotted Andrea. She was looking at the new girl. Andrea had on a mean face and her arms were crossed in front of her. When people cross their arms in front of them, it means they're mad. Nobody knows why. Do you really hate school, Alexia? Asked Emily. Sure I do, said Alexia. School is something grown-ups invented so they wouldn't have to take care of us during the day. Wow, the new girl was a lot like me, but a girl. I don't agree with that, Mr. Granite said. But welcome to our class, Alexia. Take off your hat, please. We don't wear hats in school. Alexia made a face but took off her hat anyway. She has long blonde hair. She shook her head. Her hair fell all the way down her back and swirled around in slow motion, just like in those shampoo commercials on TV. Ooh, everybody said. Your hair is pretty, Alexia, said Andrea. What a brown noser. Andrea probably wishes she has long blonde hair. Maybe Alexia would like to tell us a little about herself, said Mr. Granite. Do you like to dance and sing? asked Andrea. No, said Alexia replied. I like to play video games and ride my skateboard. What? I like to play video games and ride my skateboard. Can you drop a half pipe on your skateboard? I asked. Sure, Alexia said. I do that all the time. Wow, I can't even drop into a half pipe on a skateboard. That's scary. Do you like to play dress up? asked Emily. No, Alexia replied. I like to play football and eat pizza. What? I like to play football and eat pizza. Do you like to play with dolls? asked Andrea. Alexia slapped her own head. No, she replied. Dolls are yucky. I like to ride trick bikes. What? I like to ride trick bikes. Do you like animals? asked Neil, who we call the nude kid even though he wears clothes. Oh yes, Alexia said. My favorite animal is the penguin. What? I love penguins. This was getting weird. I know what you are, Andrea said to Alexia. You're a tomboy. That's right, Alexia said proudly. I am. Okay, take a seat over there, Alexia, said Mr. Granite. You can sit next to AJ. Now, please, open your math books to page 23. Ooh, said Ryan. The two AJs are sitting next to each other. They must be in love. When are you gonna get married? asked Michael. If those guys weren't my best friends, I would hate them. Oh, I forgot to show you 2 pictures. I can't believe it. Why am I keep forgetting to show you pictures? So this one was the last picture. And this one was the last picture when Alexia skateboarded into the class for the first time. Okay, where was I? Oh, yeah. Ooh, said Ryan. The two AJs are sitting next to each other. They must be in love. When are you going to get married? asked Michael. If those guys weren't my best friends, I would hate them. Chapter 3. Miss Child is weird. I opened my math book to page 23. Alexia skateboarded over to the desk next to me and sat down. Then she leaned over so that her long blonde hair was touching my desk. Yo, dude, he whispered in my ear. You want a piece of gum? We're not allowed to chew gum in school, I whispered back. Yeah, so, Alexia said. She popped a piece of gum into her mouth. Mr. Granite clapped his hands together. Clap, 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 clap. Okay, he said. Maybe now we can finally get to our math lesson. I glanced sideways and saw that Alexia was writing something on a little scrap of paper. She folded it up and tossed it on my desk. I opened up the note. It said, I hate math. I turned the paper over and wrote on the other side, Me too. Then I passed the paper back to Alexia. Mr. Granite, said Andrea, the two AJs are passing notes back and forth. Don't be a tattletale, Andrea, said Mr. Granite. Oh, Snape, said Ryan. Nan and a boo-boo on Andrea in her face. Here's the picture that AJ's opening up the note and says, that Alexia passed and said, I hate math. I was going to say something mean to her, but you'll never believe who poked their head into the door at that moment. Nobody. Why would anyone poke their head into a door? That would hurt. But you'll never believe who poked their head into the doorway. It was a lady. She had something around her neck, and it wasn't a necklace. It was a snake. Eek! Screamed all the girls. A snake! They're all freaking out. I'm scared, said Emily, who's scared of everything. So that's a snake around her. And she just walked into her class. I guess her name is Miss Child. Hello, said the lady. Said, I'm Miss Child and I work at the zoo. I was right, it was Miss Child. We're in the middle of our math lesson right now, said Mr. Granite. To what we owe the pleasure of your company, Miss Child. That's grown-up talk for what are you doing here? Mr. Klutz said I could stop in and show the kids our newest friend at the zoo, said Miss Child. We named him Pumpkin. Isn't he adorable? No, shouted all the girls. I have to admit that Pumpkin was pretty adorable. But I wasn't about to say so because I never say anything is adorable. Do you want to touch Pumpkin? Asked Miss Child. No, shouted all the girls. Yes, shouted all the boys plus Alexia. We lined up to touch Pumpkin. Snakes are cool, said Alexia. I saw snakes back home in Puerto Rico all the time. I thought Pumpkin was going to be all slimy and disgusting, but he wasn't. He didn't bite me or anything. Miss Know-It-All Andrea must have been jealous that Alexia liked snakes because she started telling of everybody all about them. Did you know that snakes are deaf? Said Andrea. They pick up vibrations through their jawbones and they smell with their tongues. What a brown noser. That's true, Andrea, said Miss Child. Hey, do you want kids to see something really cool? She reached into her pocket and pulled out a big, hairy spider. Ew! This is my friend Melvin, said Miss Child. He's a tarantula. You keep a tarantula in your pocket? I asked. That was weird. Spiders are gross, said Neil, the nude kid. I don't feel that way, Miss Child said. At the zoo, we appreciate all living creatures. Large and small land creatures and sea creatures, meat eaters and plant eaters, creatures that fly or swim on their bellies and blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. She went on and on, talking about how great animals are and all that Lion King circle of life stuff. I thought I was gonna fall asleep. But then Miss Child said something that got my attention. I have big news, she said. Miss Child has a big nose, Alexia whispered in my ear. The real reason why I came here is because you have the cleanest class in this whole school, she said. So your class has been chosen to go on a field trip to the zoo. Yay! Everybody shouted. Oh, last time I forgot to show me a picture of the tarantula. Why do I keep forgetting to show pictures? Chapter 4, My Zoo Buddy. Field trips are cool because you get to leave school. The only field trips that aren't cool are the ones that take you on a field trip going to a field. Going to a field is lame. The next day, everybody was excited about our trip to the zoo. My mom packed me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. Emily brought in a camera so she could take pictures of the animals. We all had to turn in a sheet of paper paper our parents that sign. It's like if we get attacked by a bear or something, our parents can't sue the school, can't sue the zoo or the school. While we were getting ready to leave for the field trip, Miss Hannah, our art teacher, came into the class. She told us she would be coming along on the trip as our chaperone. In case you don't know French, a chaperone is a grown-up who tells everybody to stop talking. Miss Hannah's art program was almost cancelled because of the budget cuts. Now she has to do other stuff besides teach art, like go on field trips. Mr. Granite told us that we would have we would have to have a zoo buddy so we wouldn't get lost at the zoo. Yo, AJ, do you want to be my zoo buddy? Alexia asked me. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I had to think fast. It would be cool to be zoo buddies with Alexia, but if I knew, the guys would make fun of me if I was zoo buddies with a girl. I thought and thought. I thought so hard I thought my head was going to explode. In the end, I didn't have to decide who would be my zoo buddy. Mr. Granite did. Emily, you and Alexia will be zoo buddies, he said. Michael and Ryan are zoo buddies. And AJ, you will be zoo buddies with Andrea. Disgusting. Andrea looked at me with this big smile on her face. Arlo, you and I are gonna be zoo buddies, she said. She called me by my real name because she knows I don't like it. Ew, said Ryan. AJ and Andrea are zoo buddies. They must be in love. When are you gonna two zoo buddies gonna get married? Asked Michael. Alexia was looking at Andrea. She had on a mean face and her arms crossed in front of her. She must have been mad that Andrea was my zoo buddy, or maybe she just had to go to the bathroom. It's time to get on the bus, said Miss Hannah. Single file, everyone. Don't forget to bring along your lunch, said Mr. Granite. Alexa was the line leader and she skateboarded down the ramp in front of the school. I guess she skateboards everywhere. The rest of us has to walk 1,100,000 miles to where the bus was parked. Bingle boo, said Miss Cornwall, our school bus driver. Lumpus cadoodle. Miss Cornwall doesn't talk like regular people. She invented her own secret language. Bingle boo means hello. Limpus cadoodle means sit down. Mrs. Cornwall is not normal. We all piled onto the bus. I had to sit next to my zoo buddy Andrea. Isn't this exciting, Arlo? She said. Don't you just love field trips? Andrea's rubbing her hands together, which is what people do when they're excited about something. Nobody knows why. No, I replied. Andrea gets excited about everything. If a grown-up told her we were going to do outside and stare at a pile of dirt all day, she would be rubbing her hands together with excitement. I hope they have elephants at the zoo, Andrea told me. Do you know that some elephants are 13 feet tall and weigh over 15,000 pounds? Everybody knows that, I lied. Andrea, you should never let a know-it-all like Andrea know that she knows something you don't know. That's the first rule of being a kid. Elephants also spend up to 16 hours a day eating, Andrea said. So does your face, I told her. Andrea probably looked up elephants in her encyclopedia at home. What is her problem? Why can't an elephant fall on her head? Why do I keep forgetting to show pictures? This is a picture last time while they were driving, and this is the picture last page. Oh, and this is also a picture last time. And the others I already showed. But next time I'm never gonna forget it. I promise. I had to listen to Andrea tell me everything she knew about elephants for the whole bus ride. I thought I was gonna die. Finally, after riding 1,100,000 miles, we got to the zoo. Miss Child was waiting for us. She came over to the bus and led us to the room where we put our backpacks. Then she passed out name tags so she could pretend she knew our names when she talked to us. Do you have elephants at the zoo? Asked little Miss I Know Everything About Elephants. Oh, yes, replied Miss Child. Andrea jumped up and down with excitement like she was opening her birthday presents. Before we start your tour, Miss Child said, I want to talk to you for a few minutes about the zoo. We don't believe that animals should be locked in cages. Blah, 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 blah. All our animals live in an environment that is made to resemble their nature habitat. Blah, 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 blah. We need to respect all living creatures. Blah, 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 blah. There's nothing separating you from the animals here, so you need to be careful at all times. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. When will this end? Blah, 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 blah. Please make her stop. Blah, 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 blah. Miss Child talked for a million hundred minutes about how wonderful animals are. It was really boring. I wanted to see some cool animals, not listen to some lady talk about them. I love animals, said Miss Child finally said. Do you love animals too? Everybody except Emily raised a hand. I'm allergic to animals with fur, she said. Dogs, cats, ferrets. It was true. One time Neil the nude kid brought his pet ferret, Mr. Wiggles, to school. It got out of its cage and was running around the school all day. By the time we found it in Emily's hat, we had voted Mr. Wiggles president of the school. Emily is probably allergic to her own shadow. Miss Child told us to go around in a circle and tell something about our pets. I have a dog named Buttons, I said when it was my turn. Tell us something interesting about Buttons, AJ, said Miss Child. There really wasn't anything interesting to say about Buttons. He was just a plain old dog, but I had to say something. Well, I said, sometimes Buttons poops on the floor. Everybody laughed because I said poop. If you ever wanted to make somebody laugh, just go to them and say poop. It works every time. Nobody knows why. Ooh, that's too bad that your dog poops on the floor, said Miss Child. What does your mother do? She poops in the bathroom, I said. Duh! Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. Next, it was Andrea's turn. After school, I earned money by dog sitting. She said, You sit on dogs? I asked. That's weird. Why would anyone want to sit on a dog? I don't sit on dogs, Arlo, Andrea said. I take care of dogs when their owners aren't home. It's like babysitting. You sit on babies too, I said. Isn't that against the law? Andrea got all mad. I knew that she didn't sit on dogs or babies, but it's fun to yank her chain. Chapter 5, Binky the Elephant. Finally, it was time for us to explore the zoo. We don't want anyone to get lost, said Miss Child, so everyone hold hands with your zoo buddy. Andrea looked at me and held out her hand. held out her hand. "Hold my hand, Arlo," she said, smiling. "No way," I said. "I'm not holding your hand." "You have to," Miss Child said so. Here's a picture. I looked at Miss Child. She gave me one of those grown-up looks. I held Andrea's hand. "Ugh, disgusting!" Alexia had to hold hands with crybaby Emily. She didn't look too happy about it. Mike had to hold hands with Ryan. They didn't like it either. Nobody likes holding hands. That's the first rule of being a kid. "Would you like to go visit Elephant Alley?" asked Miss Child. "Yeah," everybody said. Even Mr. Granite and Miss Hannah were excited to see the elephants. "I love elephants," said Andrea. "Then why don't you marry one?" I told her. We all followed Miss Child to Elephant Alley. There were 2 elephants lumbering around. They were cool. Everybody was oohing and eyeing. There was a big ditch that separated the people from the elephants so they couldn't charge us and step on our heads and trample us to death. "This is Winky and Binky," said Miss Child. "They come from Thailand. Some elephants are 13 feet tall and weigh over 15,000 pounds. "See, I told you," Andrea whispered in my ear. Miss Child climbed over the ditch and jumped right into Elephant Alley. "Isn't that dangerous to be so close to the elephants?" asked Mr. Granite. "Not at all," said Miss Child. "The animals are our friends. We should love all living creatures. Blah, 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 blah." She went over to a shed and took out a big easel and some buckets and paintbrushes. She dipped a brush into one of the buckets and put it in Binky's trunk. "What's he doing?" asked Emily. "Binky likes to paint," Miss Child said. "It relaxes him." "That's ridiculous," said Miss Hannah. "Elephants can't paint." Miss Hannah knows a lot about art, so I figured she was right. But then the most amazing thing in the history of the world happened. Binky took the paintbrush, pressed it against the paper on the easel, and drew a thick blue line all by himself. "Wow," we all said, with his mom upside down. So here's the picture. None of us thought an elephant would be able to do that. Binky carefully painted another line that crossed over the first line. Everybody was oohing and eyeing. "Maybe elephants can paint," said Miss Hannah. "How does he do that?" "Elephants have more than 40,000 muscles in their trunk," said Miss Child as he dipped Binky's brush into the bucket of paint.